Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saurabh Bhardwaj, and I'm a life coach. Welcome to my channel, livingyourultimatedream.com. My aim with this channel is to provide you with the best tools and technique to improve your life in every area. Today, I'm going to interview Lisa Marie Pepe. She is an online visibility expert and a life coach. She has helped thousands of women who struggle with the lack of self confidence. Her ability to coach is incredible. She has also 4 times #1 best-selling author, and she has been featured in the publications such as Huffington Post. Please help me and welcome Lisa Marie Pepe. What I want to talk about is self-confidence, and that I have understand that you are a self-confident coach, and I believe you are working on this field for how many years?
It's officially 4 since I've had my confidence coaching as a part of my business. But I have been in business for about 5 years total.
Okay, it's a long time. And so before we go into the question and answer, I would like to understand like how much people you have helped with and what are the people's results. So if you can give a little bit idea about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I have worked with women and men from all over the world. And that has been probably the most exciting piece for me because I never knew this world existed when I was an employee and when I was working for other people in the workforce, being out there, going to a regular job where you punch a clock and you punch out and you get your paycheck at the end of the week. Like, I had no idea that this world existed. And
Excellent.
so for me, it's been incredibly exciting to think that, oh my God, I can meet with people all over the world in the
And
blink of an eye, in the
when you
snap of.
realize you have changed somebody life
Yeah,
completely, it is a different feeling. Yeah, I can understand that.
yeah, absolutely. And I would think at this point it's probably been hundreds of people that I've worked with through both individual programs, group programs, summits, interviews, all kinds of things, and in between. I
Great.
like to leave my footprint, gently wherever I've been. I want people to walk away feeling amazing and feeling empowered and feeling confident and feeling like they can do whatever it is they desire to do.
I think you are already doing it.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I also understand that you are planning your TED Talk next year. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So,
So can you a little bit talk about that, like what it will be about? And
yeah. So, there's a couple of things that are going to be coming up in the not so far distant future. For one, I'm going to be doing my mastermind, and that will be a 6-month online program in which a business partner, she and I will be working hand in hand to walk people through all
okay,
of the steps it
okay,
takes to get enough confidence, number one, to even get yourself ready to get out there, but then number two, on how to actually create that sustainable and lucrative business. Like, how do you actually establish that?
oh,
It's
that is
one
very
thing,
good.
yeah, it's one thing to get one client, but it's another thing to have clients and projects and
Exactly.
things
Yeah.
that you're constantly doing.
Because I'm also starting out in this business, so I can understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a beautiful business, and I feel truly blessed that I get to do what I get to do every day. Um, and it's one of those things that I feel really honored, and I never thought in a million years this is where I would be when I started. And so projects, like, I know that I'll be also probably writing again, maybe doing a retreat. I've written, several books, and that's also involved other entrepreneurs because we have other entrepreneurs who contribute their stories.
Okay.
So there's a lot of great stuff. I don't know if that answered your question. I think I digressed a little bit on what I was working on. So if you could go back to the original question, that would be awesome.
Perfect. So, okay, I would like to say best of luck for your future endeavor.
Thanks.
And then let's start with the training, what I would like to have with you. So, what is self-confidence for you? Like, I have heard so much about it, and I have understood now that lots of people also struggle that they
Yes.
cannot show themselves what they actually are. So, how do you
Yes.
describe self-confidence? What it is?
Yes. So, number one, I want to point out that I know what it feels like to feel anything but confident.
Okay.
So I know what it feels like to have a low self-esteem. I know what it feels like to have self-sabotaging, self-deprecating thoughts. I know what it feels like to be depressed. I know what it feels like to not want to look at myself in the mirror. I
Do
know
you mind asking me why you say that?
I know all those feelings, and I share that because I don't want anyone ever to think that, what I say or what I share is any kind of fluff, or,
Okay.
I've not experienced it firsthand, or, I'm just basing it off of a theory. No, I'm basing it off a lot of my own personal life experience. And then, of course, my, graduate school training and psychology and education, and those things play a part. But the biggest lessons for me have come as a result of my own growth through those things. And it is the reason why I choose to do the work I do. That's
Okay.
why I mentioned it.
That's really great. Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to help heal the sickness or the hurt or the injury in the world that I've had personal experience with. I want to help those who are experiencing the same to get to where I'm at now, which is a place.
Because you have already experienced that,
Yes,
you can exactly relate to it, and you
yes,
know what you can do about it because you have already overcome.
yes,
That's
that's
great.
absolutely right. That's
Okay.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
And so for me, I know that having gone through all the experiences I did is what really has prepared me the best, and someone who is in a position to speak about these things. So, confidence for me, confidence is a deep understanding and a deep knowing that no matter what happens to me, I'm still going to be okay. And I'm still enough. And I'm still, the world around me can collapse, but nothing can destroy my soul or my spirit or who I was created to be.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Thanks. It's a more of a feeling, I think, than anything, right? It's not really a thing. It's a feeling. It's an embodied sense of self that I know that despite what people say about me, or despite how people respond to me, or despite the things that come my way, I know that I'm okay. I'm
Okay,
okay.
understand. Yes, and it's very clear.
Yeah.
So I understand you have really gone through this, and it's really coming from your heart.
Thanks. Yeah. Oh,
That's good.
trust me, and I share that because, there were times in my life, people look at me now and they see me as someone who's a confidence coach and an invisibility expert and a writer and things like that. And,
Hmm.
the other side of that is before I became this person, I was that person who was so terrified of her own shadow. I literally went through a period of time where I was so afraid of everything. I think I scared myself by looking at my own shadow one day. I just kind of jumped because I was
Oh
always
my God.
nervous, always, I didn't know which way to go. I didn't trust myself. I was always looking for external validation. And I think the older we grow, if we're willing, there does come a sense of acceptance where I don't have to prove myself to everybody. I just don't have to do that anymore. And do I care what people think? I care what the people think whom I love the most and who are most important to me.
Okay.
But by and large, I don't really care about whether or not everybody likes me.
Understood.
And that's a huge shift for me.
Yeah, I think lots of people need to hear you because you are very clear with your framework, what you are exactly now. That's very
Well,
nice.
yeah, and it's all come because of being on that other side and knowing how awful that is and how awful it feels and how awful so awful that I don't ever want to go back.
Okay.
And so
Thank
I
you for
stay
sharing
kind of
very
vigilant.
deep
Vigilant.
feelings. Yeah. Okay, so then I think my next question would be, is it like self-confidence is different for men and women, or is it the same feeling for both of them?
I believe that self-confidence is self-confidence, regardless if it's a man or a woman. I
Okay.
still think it's about a knowing, a deep understanding, and a deep belief about oneself that no matter what happens around the person still knows they themselves are okay. And that nothing in the outside world can strip them of their identity of who they are as an individual. That's truly what I believe. What I do believe differs from men and women is the idea of success.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I think it gets, at least that's what I've observed. I'm not saying that's, the gospel and that's what it has to be, but I'm saying that in my experience as, a person, and then of course as a therapist and now as a coach, and, I've seen that be a varying, women tend to think it's this and men tend to identify it as that, right?
Yeah.
So I think the confidence piece is the same, but I think the success piece is where people differ a bit, women and men.
Yeah. Also, I was reading a study on the mental health in UK, and I don't know how much true it is, but according to that study, women are the one who suffer with the lack of self-confidence more. Is it true? What do you observe in your coaching practices?
Yes.
Why do you think it is?
There's a lot of reasons, I believe. And it's not to say that men don't have a lot of the same stuff coming at them from the time that they're young. But I can tell you, especially as a white American, growing up, the message was that in order to be accepted, in order to be liked, in order to be thought attractive, I had to be thin. I had to have my hair a certain way. So it was a lot about body and a lot about physical appearance.
I can understand this because I come from a country where male is dominated. So women are needs to be in a certain way,
Yes.
and they've grown up with a certain mentality. So I can understand what you are saying. Every culture has its own pros and cons. So I can
Yeah.
understand what you are talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know here, I'm in the US, but I speak for all industrialized countries because I've worked with people from all over the place. I think there's a lot of pressure on young girls, young women to fit a certain body type, to fit a certain image. From the time we're young, we start looking at all these magazines and, all these women that are on the covers of these magazines look perfect. And it's because they've been perfected by auto, airbrushing and auto, highlighting and things of that nature. And we grow up with an implicit, message: in order to be loved, in order to be liked, in order to be heard, you have to be attractive physically.
Yes.
And I struggled with that greatly growing up because I was always a little bit on the thicker side. I was an athlete and I was a little bit more husky than I am currently. And I struggled immensely with it. I never thought that I was pretty. I always thought that I was too fat. And that played a lot into my self-esteem.
Yes, yes. I can understand this from the men's side also because Men also
Yes.
have some pressure about they should be successful, they should have a certain kind of home, certain kind of car. So
Exactly. And so
it goes in that side of it
that's
for
what
the
I was
men.
saying about success
Yes,
being
yes,
different, right? So
yes,
success for a woman is being a certain size or being a certain weight. That's a success. Whereas with men, I believe there's more pressure for them to accumulate these
yeah,
pieces of property that then demonstrate how masculine they are, right? The car, the house, the watch, whatever it is, and it's all high end, high retail, all of that, but it's a status symbol. And so for women, and I know, I want to also say that there are men who are also affected by it because men's magazines have started to do that to men as well, right? About six pack abs and look like this in
yes,
5 days,
yes.
and but for the most part, I know that's why a lot of women struggle with self esteem and confidence. That's one of the main reasons.
Okay, okay. That's thank you for this beautiful explanation for this.
Yeah,
Okay, so why do we need it? Do we need this self confidence? Like everybody's talking about, okay, learn how to be more self confident, and you can achieve this, you can achieve that, and they are promising, they are selling courses based on this. But what do you think the actual reasons are why we actually need it?
we need it because we're living in really, really trying times, I believe, in society where things are moving at such a fast pace and where human interaction is actually declining and screen time is increasing.
Yeah,
And for example, when kids get bullied at school, I believe you're much younger than I am, but I remember if someone got bullied at school, the worst that would happen to them when they went home was that someone might, I don't know, prank call them or, give them a hard time on the phone or something. Nowadays, if a kid gets made fun of in school, he or she goes home and it's 24/7. It's all over the internet. It's on social media.
exactly.
It's on these little apps that people are using. It's unrelenting. It doesn't give up. It doesn't stop. And I truly feel that in order to be successful at anything in life or business, you have to have a strong foundation of yourself, your self
Exactly.
identity, your self worth, who you are as an individual. And that does begin in childhood. And which is why I think we need to reinforce it more in schools. And I don't blame teachers that they're not the ones being able to do it to the extent that they should. Their hands are pretty much tied a lot of the time. But the school system, the public education system, at least here in general, it needs more focus on things like that and focus on how to teach people how to cope and how to deal with life and not so much about things they may never use in their lifetime.
Yes, yes. I-
Yeah, so I think it's so important. It's vital because the reason why people, and so from an entrepreneurial perspective, people don't succeed in their business because most of the time they don't have any self-confidence in
Yes,
themselves, in their service, in their
very
product.
true.
And it comes through in their language, it comes through in their body language, it comes through in their speech, it comes through in their energy when they're having a conversation with someone.
Yes.
And and you talk to them afterward, oh, how'd it go? Oh, nobody wants to sign up for my program. Okay, well, how did you go in? What was your mindset going in? How did you feel about going in to the whole launch itself? Well, I didn't really think anybody would buy it. Well,
Yeah.
okay, that's why nobody bought it, and I'm not talking about some like woo woo, really esoteric, stuff. I'm just talking about in
Yes.
general. You have to be confident as an individual if you want to succeed in life or business.
Okay. Perfect. So it's really interesting to me when you say that it starts from childhood,
Mhm.
but somewhere along the journey we lost it. Yeah.
Yes.
So do you think it's possible to build it again.
Yes. Yes.
So, so let's come to the final question: that how to do that?
Oh, okay. So I'm so glad you asked that. So yes, you can rebuild your confidence. And this is what I always tell people, you may be wounded, but you're not broken.
Okay.
Okay. We all go through life and we all have stuff that happens to us that we could have never expected.
Exactly.
And we find ourselves in that moment and we're saying, oh my God, what is happening? I can't deal with this. How am I ever going to move on? How can I live? How can I go? How can I get this done? Those things, as they come at us, they do leave imprints, right? And they wound us. They wound our souls. They wound our physical, body. And if not careful, that is what continues to just, push us further down. I know that you can rebuild confidence because I'm living proof of that. I
Okay.
am someone who, at one point during my lowest, actually looked in the mirror at myself and said to myself, as I was looking at my reflection, I hate you. I was
Oh my
so
God.
angry with myself.
Hmm.
And I remember just beating myself up internally, mentally, just, I hate you. I hate everything I see. I just so bad. And I think if I can go through that and get to this place where now I truly am confident, it doesn't mean, by the way, that I don't have a bad day. It doesn't mean that I don't sometimes get knocked for a loop and I gotta take a few minutes to, reassess what's going on. Um, but yes, if one wants to truly be confident, there are definite ways in order for that to happen. But the first is that the person has to be willing to admit
Yeah.
where they're currently at, because you can't really grow or go to another level unless you know where you're at. So if you're
And
willing to be honest with yourself, anyone who's watching this, if you're willing to be honest
yeah.
and say, look, I'm here because I made some poor choices, or I didn't respond or react the way I should have. I was too short tempered, or I made a wrong decision. If you can say those things and admit those things to yourself, I think that makes it so much easier. Because at the end of the day, forgiving ourselves is by far one of the most powerful things we can do to increase our self confidence.
I can understand that. So, if somebody is like starting, like from now, decided that I want to do this, what three things you would tell that she or he can do to start working on building a rock solid self confidence?
So there are several things that I did when I decided that I was done with playing small and I was done beating myself up for things that, I did the best I could given the situation, given my level of understanding, my level of knowledge. I was a lot younger back then.
Yeah.
So giving myself that space, right, to just even acknowledge it. And then what I did was a lot of journaling and a lot of forgiveness work
Okay.
around that, figuring out, who were the people in my life that had a significant role in what I perhaps experienced. And
Oh,
I mean, let's be honest, our families are our first, you know,
exactly.
immediate, role models. And
Yeah.
depending on that upbringing, even if it's the greatest upbringing, there's still something, humans are, faulty by nature, right? Like we make
Yes.
mistakes. We don't mean to sometimes, but we do. Um, and I just feel like you have to really be able to get honest with yourself and even those that have hurt you. And you have to make a decision to forgive. You have
Mhm.
to forgive.
Really
If
important.
you hold on to animosity and anger and judgment and all of those awful feelings that eat away at your soul, which is what I allowed to happen, by the way, for quite some time, that's when you find yourself in a really bad way. And so it took a lot for me to forgive people who had hurt me. I had to forgive myself for hurting me.
Yeah, I was about to say that actually, but yeah.
Yeah, you have to forgive yourself for
Yes.
making some poor choices when you were a little bit younger, maybe. You know, you're 18,
Yeah.
19 years old, you think you have the world figured out, and you don't. And you
Yes.
learn by growing, and you learn by falling forward, right? And so, and then from there, it is about developing actual habits every single day, despite whether you feel like it or not. That has to go out the window, because if you only did things when you felt like it, you wouldn't
Yes.
get anything accomplished.
Mhm.
Because by nature, humans are hedonists. We just want to do what feels good, and we want to stay in bed all day and play video games. That's what we're going to do. But
Exactly.
to truly grow and become the person you want to be, or the person you were created to be, you've got to be willing to then, like
Put yourself out there.
you
Yeah.
have to, yeah, you just have to. And for me, even to this day, now it's been probably close to 6 years that I have been on this self-love journey and
Okay.
self-confident journey.
Long time.
And every single day, I recite my affirmations that I've created for myself. They're all positive
Okay.
I am statements.
Okay.
I recite them every day for 30 minutes. And this is kind of funny, but a little bit of a fun fact. So I exercise every morning. I do cardio on my elliptical rider. But instead of watching TV or trying to read a book, and which never works, the book falls off the machine, and rather than doing that, I've got my list of affirmations sitting, or rather taped on a wall directly in front of me. So
Okay.
as I'm working up a sweat and the fresh oxygen is pumping through my brain, I'm just reading my list over
Nice.
and over and over and
I
over.
never had it before.
And I just say it internally. I say it very quietly, and you train your brain to really believe those things.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question then for you,
Yeah.
and I promise it will be the last. um, do you know that in this world that everybody wants results now, and social media and TV and all the coaches in the world, like the fake coaches, I would say, they made it like they can do the things for you like this.
Mhm.
So my question would be that how long does it take actually to come to a level when you can feel I am a confident person now? Of course, it depends on personality, but
Yep.
I would say like general, like
Yeah.
people don't. Why I'm asking this question is so people don't give up in 1 month when they are
Yeah.
on the journey.
Yeah. So
So
here's,
it's it's
I
it's
love
good
this
to
question.
understand that they have to keep going on.
Yeah, I
That's
love
why
this
my
question.
question is here.
I love this question, by the way, and I love it
Yeah,
because, well, for a million reasons. I love it
thank you.
because it forces those of us who are ethical and
Yeah.
don't sell people on pipe dreams and instant gratification. Do this one thing one time and you're going to get x amount of results. It takes time. Anything worth digging your heels into and trying to create a whole lifestyle around takes time. You can't go to the gym one weekend a month and think that you're going to build up muscle. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
You can't
Yeah.
eat one healthy meal per month and think you're going to, have a good physique and feel better and have good energy. It does not work that way.
Yes.
So I am very, very honest about how long it takes. And I can tell you that things can start to improve probably in as little as 3 to 6 months, depending on
Okay.
how motivated someone is.
Okay.
But it also depends on how much undoing or unlearning has to take place
Yes.
before the relearning or the new learning comes in.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I've been on this journey probably about 6 years. And I feel like maybe the last 2.5 years, I have felt significantly more confident than when I started.
Perfect.
But again, it doesn't mean I didn't start to see results within those
Yes,
three,
yes, yes.
six, nine
Yeah.
months. It wasn't 1 week and it wasn't 1 month, and it certainly wasn't without fear. That is the other thing I need to be completely transparent about.
Yes.
When you decide to change your life, even for the better,
Okay.
you are going to experience a small degree, at minimum, of fear.
Yes, of course, yes.
It's just going to happen
Yes.
because it's new, it's uncharted territory, it's uncharted water you don't know. So
Exactly.
when you're able to start easing your way into the processes of who you want to be, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. And it's going to feel like, whoa, can I really do this? And that, I think, is where most people freak out and go back to old behavior and old habits.
Yeah.
Because even though they're dysfunctional, they're still familiar.
Anything which puts us out of our comfortable zone just gives us fear. Yeah.
Right. And fear is a very, very, very strong,
Yes.
um, you know, predictor of, you know, fear will literally paralyze people.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so it was really great talking to you. And before I say goodbye, I would like to know if people wants to find you, how they can find you.
Yeah. So I make this really, really easy for people. This is the
Okay.
awesome part. So in addition to being a confidence coach, I'm an online visibility expert. So I literally tell people, go to Google and just put in my full name, Lisa Marie Pepe, Pepe. One
Perfect.
P, one E, one P, one E.
Yeah.
And I tell people that because honestly, like, you'll see me show up in podcasts, you'll see me show up in articles, you'll see my website, you'll see me on Facebook. I can send people to a million different places, but it's just easier for me to say, Google my name, and wherever you are, I promise I'm there too. So find me wherever it's most convenient.
And ultimately it will connect to you
Yes.
somehow. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Like, you meet me on
Perfect.
LinkedIn, awesome. If you meet me on Twitter, great. If you meet me on Facebook, well, okay. You know, it doesn't matter. It's just reach out. I love talking to people, and I'm really
Perfect.
passionate about this stuff.
Very nice. And Lisa, it was really nice talking to you. And thank
Thanks.
you very much for your time.
Oh,
And
you're
I'm
so
sure
welcome.
people learned so much from this interview. So thank you once again, and you have a good evening. Bye bye.